Humphreys to the left of the screen in the blue vest, the lefty, and his partner wearing all black on the right of the screen is Felipe Osses-König, and they will be taking on the other side, the deuce side of the court in the white vest, the lefty, Guillermo Nunez, and his partner in the blue vest in the ad side is Mark Powers, and they are the defending national champions, Guy.
And
Um, Guy, real fast, our chair umpire for today, who does a wonderful job every time he's up there, is Mike Yahimski. And this will be 2 out of 3 sets, regular scoring, tiebreakers after each set.
Nunez and Powers had a good run last week. Lost in the finals at Aronimink to Regalado and Salazar. Those guys are undefeated this year, Regalado, Salazar. So, and Nunez, and we were saying it at the end of the stream last week, Dave, that Nunez and Powers are the national champions, but they still haven't played a lot together. I mean, they're still a very young team.
Right. When you look at all the teams, the established teams, you're right. They probably have the least amount of experience together. They really just started playing together last year at the Nationals, and to your point, they haven't played many events this year. But I think that's just something people should look at and see how, when you're playing within a system and you're sort of on the same page, it's kind of easy to be successful.
And Chris Humphreys, and Felipe Osses-König, I mean, they're an established team. They've played a ton together. Really, kind of their first showing this year. They haven't played much this year, but just a solid team. They obviously know each other really well, and they complement each other really well. And it's kind of cool to see too, Dave, that you're seeing more lefty righty combinations. Obviously, a big advantage, being a lefty righty, from Sun to being able to play in the stagger to having 2 forehand overheads in the middle. Once they've switched out, I mean, big advantage. So it's kind of fun to see this lefty righty matchup on both sides of the court.
Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting that, you bring that up because, at this level of play, the lefty righty combination, a couple things. One is you're right, the sun and being able to hit both corners makes a big difference. And it also, the bigger thing is at this level, it allows someone to be off the net hitting overheads, and it allows one player to be on top of the net always volleying. There are other levels of play where the lefty righty combination is good because you could pick on one side or the other. At this level, I don't really think that exists, but it's more of like being stronger. The lefty righty combination, they could be at full strength going to the side or the ad side again because they're always going to have somebody on the net. They're always going to have somebody back hitting overheads.
And you have a team with Powers and Nunez. Both of these guys can put ridiculous amounts of spin on the ball. And watching them play last week, I don't want to say they didn't have a set net plan or net scheme, but what happened is they just kind of went with the flow, where if Powers was hitting overheads, you would see Nunez hanging more on the net. If Nunez was hitting overheads, you would see Powers hanging more on the net. It was interesting. I do believe that Nunez, when he lets that ball drop, and it's not even a cutter that he hits, it's almost like a slider. I mean, the ball stays low around the snowboard. It just doesn't come up at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2024 Westchester Classic. This is the men's final round match. We'll play best 2 out of 3 sets with tiebreakers. Introducing the players to my right, playing in the deuce court from New York, New York, Guillermo Nunez. His partner on the ad side, also from New York, New York, Mark Powers. To my left, in the deuce court from Union, New Jersey, Chris Humphreys. His partner on the ad side from Stamford, Connecticut, Felipe Osses-König. Nunez Powers won the spin, and they will receive.
Right, so we heard from chair umpire Mike Yahimski. Looks like the players are going to get ready to go. And Guy, just to add to your point, last night I was watching the semifinal match with Powers and Nunez taking on beating Broderick and Pardo de Andrade, and Nunez late in the third set hit a couple of overheads that were just ridiculous. One of them was literally a backhand cross court slash overhead that
I saw it.
sort of somehow went backwards, sideways. He started hitting some really good ungettable overheads towards the end of the match, and yeah, it is pretty impressive to see what they could do and how much spin they can create off of overheads.
Well, absolutely everyone on this court has great hands, but Nunez, when he gets moving and going forward and being a lefty too with
We'll
his
switch after 7. Is that good?
with his touch and range in that overhead or that slash backhand volley that you're talking about, I saw it and I had to take 2 or 3 steps back. I mean, it was silliness.
Basically, yes, it was silliness, is what it was.
You like that?
I
Silliness.
do. It was just silly. You're looking at it going, is for him to try that, does he know the outcome already?
To be honest with you, I don't know if I've seen anything like it.
Yeah, I mean, it was from the extreme right side of the court. He hit it cross court to the extreme left side of the court, and then the ball just spun like sideways backwards.
You know, it's easier that way sometimes, the other players just didn't even move for it. I mean, that's enough.
And it looks like Chris Humphreys is going to get ready to serve here, start the finals of the Westchester Classic.
And these guys, Dave, they want to play a good long point so everyone gets warmed up and they're in the match early. No quick games here to start this match.
15 love.
It'll be interesting to see because in last night's semifinal, Nunez and Powers got off to a little bit of a slow start, but then obviously steadied up and were able to come through and advance into the finals. Do you think Nunez and Powers are going to look to play more of an aggressive style guy from the baseline, maybe driving more balls than they are going to lob balls as we go along here?
Well, two things, Dave. One, Nunez is one of the best transitional players in the game. What I mean by that is he does thrive on moving forward and creating and shot making, just like we were talking about with. See, he likes that there. Now, one thing about Osses-König is he closes the net very quickly and has a tremendous drop shot. So if he's hanging on the net, they need to be putting the ball in the air.
Love.
And too, Dave, I mean, Osses-König and Humphreys haven't played a lot this year, and that just gives all these better teams, they just haven't got to look at them. I mean, obviously a great partnership, and they played for a couple years, but nobody's really seen them this year. So that's an advantage for Osses-König Humphreys. And that's exactly what I'm saying about Osses-König on the net. You see that drop volley?
Yeah, and that was Powers hit a bomb on that.
That's what I
He
mean.
hit a couple of big forehands here. The other thing I was going to say is early on, I think what's helped Humphreys Osses-König so far has been Chris Humphreys has been serving really well, as we see from there,
Game,
where
Humphreys,
he wasn't
Osses-König. They
given
lead
him
the
many
first set, one
opportunities to
game to
drive
love.
returns, and I think uh, Nunez Powers, I think their return to serve sets up a lot of their points when they're on the receiving end because they both have amazing returns to serve.
Yeah, Humphreys was hitting that serve with a ton of spin and deep in the box. And that's exactly the start that Humphreys and Osses-König wanted right there.
And there we see quite a few examples of the spin potential that Powers and Nunez can put on the ball. And as much spin as they put on it, they just have to after you watch that last one, that was a backside, a lot of spin, but it came out for Koenig to really take a good swing at it. Well disguised forehand there by Chris Humphreys. Really good positioning there by Chris Humphreys, knowing that Powers is going to pull the trigger on that big forehand of his and closing the net and getting real tight. Keeping the point alive here for Humphreys Osses-König. Wow, very impressive drop shot, casual, nonchalant there by Chris Humphreys. And I think that's something we have to look for as much as we talk about the spin potential of Nunez and Powers guy. Chris Humphreys as well. He can finish a point with the best of them.
Yeah, for sure. His lefty overhead's one of the best in the game. In a pattern, Dave, a pattern that Nunez likes is once I switch out here, which I will immediately, is
15,
he likes to hit 2 or 3 hard slashes, cutters to Humphreys in that deuce side, and then he likes to bring it back to.
They lead 2-love first set.
And then he likes to mix it up and bring it back to the ad side. So he goes like 3-1, 3 to the deuce, and then 1 to the ad when they get into some rhythm. And I think that's their best net scheme.
Right.
Little frustration there. Probably felt good.
All.
And Osses-König is one of the few. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, that sidearm serve was pretty popular, and yeah, he's one of the few that still uses that almost exclusively. See if Nunez gets into his rhythm here.
15-30. 15-40.
Pretty good
Great
forehand
ball
there,
by
Bob.
Powers.
Off the short hop, off the short hop bounce, roller, topspin forehand.
And those are really the most effective drives, the ones that happen real quick. You know, bang, bang plays.
A great court coverage you have of Chris Humphreys.
And that's just experience, you know, those two playing together. Osses-König 100% committed, and you saw Humphreys able to do the same. He
Not to
he
mention those.
almost,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, he almost knocked Mike Jahimski out of the chair.
Yeah. I was going to say, not to mention, that was a pretty impressive volley there by
Game,
Mark
Nunez
Powers.
Powers. Humphreys Osses-König lead 2-1 first set.
And Dave, I still feel like everyone's just working their way into this match.
No, I agree. And I think that was a big game for Humphreys, Osses-König, after coming, breaking serve to go up 2-love. That game was a little bit quick, couple of faults, couple of quick errors. And I think, again, if Nunez and Powers are going to get back on track and, settle into this, you don't want to help them because eventually they're going to.
Yeah, they kind of go in waves where they play with a ton of rhythm and then they don't, and that's why I said what I did earlier. They're still a relatively new team. I mean, it was amazing that they won the Nationals last year, not for any other reason other than the fact that they just didn't play that much. But I mean,
Love 15.
And even the first game they served for Nunez and Powers, to your point, they kind of just went with the flow. If the ball went to Powers, he put it over there into the ad corner, did his thing. If it went to Nunez, he kind of put it over in the forehand corner. So it'll be interesting how this plays out going forward.
for everyone watching too, I mean, you can see it's extremely windy as well. You saw Powers just wait until the 30, 40 mile an hour stop blowing. But it's always windy here. So let's see what happens here, Dave. And that's where Nunez is so good. And you saw that lefty forehand volley. He just has a ton of wingspan.
Also, you noticed how calm he was when the volley came at him. He didn't lunge. He didn't get excited. He just kind of took his time, and he knew where Osses-König was going and was able to win the point by hitting him with it.
By the way, Dave, everyone learns a little lesson there from one of the spectators. If you can't shut the paddle gate, put a ball in between. You saw that?
I did.
You've done that a couple times, haven't you?
2 times.
15-30.
I learned that trick back in the day from Mark Bliss, veteran chair umpire on the APTA tour.
And this is what we were talking about. So, you saw a couple points ago, Powers hitting all the overheads. Now let's see. And that's the danger with that swing like that is you're very exposed from the net team because you're having to move quickly. And the less you have to move at the net, the stronger you are. That's usually where Powers and Nunez are so talented, is in that transition game.
There's a little hesitation there with Powers. Not sure if that ball was going to be in or out, and then went to play it at the last second.
30-40.
And that's, again, that lefty wingspan we were mentioning. He has a big reach with that forehand volley, Nunez.
Those last 2 points, once we start even this point now,
Advantage
as you
Nunez
get deeper
Powers.
into the tournament, obviously this is in the finals of it. You can't have those 3 quick points in a row because most of these points are super valuable and they're a grind to win points. You don't want to, and especially they were up 40-15 or 15-40. You don't want to give away quick points. And there are times when, you know what, a team like Powers and Nunez, they're going to force you into trying to go for a little bit too much or forcing a mistake. But, at this stage of the game and for this level of play, they really have to come back and haunt you with those quick points.
Yeah, it changes the momentum, right?
Yep. Really good get there by Chris Humphreys on a spin overhead.
And that's the shot making we were talking about. That's great hands on all sides of the court.
Deuce.
All those net cords are not going Nunez and Powers' way, right?
Yeah, they've had a bit of an uphill battle here to start. But again, they got off to a little bit of a slow start yesterday, and they played a really good second and third set last night. I watched both sets, and they were hard to win points against. It became.
And both Humphreys and Osses-König have tremendous backhands.
I was just thinking about that, the same exact thing. Not only do they have good backhands, but again, we're starting to see the players on both the men's and women's side where they're getting big forehands and big backhands, and it's really adding a new dynamic to the game, and it's changing the game, making it more exciting, more fun to watch. You see a lot more action because there's no quote unquote safe spots, at the higher levels when you're playing.
And especially with these two, Dave, because being a lefty-righty and all the things we talked about in the beginning of the stream, you can play in the stagger just like Nunez and Powers are here, but you would think, hitting the ball to the outside or the side back is a safe spot, but it's just not here. I would say this, if they're going to go there, that it's better to get it to the side back than let Osses-König and Humphreys drive it off the deck.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
Like that ball there from Nunez. Same thing here. See if Nunez fires this back at Osses-König. There's I don't know how Humphreys got out of the way of that ball.
Yeah.
I tell you though, Dave, just from watching Powers and Nunez from last year and the tournaments they played this year, I think they like this tempo. They like to move it around. They thrive on the movement. I think they both like to stay involved. And we've said it before. Hey, if it works, keep doing it.
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König. Deuce. Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
Such a big backhand. Just no backswing and snaps it.
All right, it looks like for Nunez and Powers, it looks like they are coming up with a little bit of a strategy here where it looks like they're letting Nunez hit a lot more of these overheads into the loose corner of Humphreys.
Yeah, and I do think that's their best net scheme, is letting Nunez hit more overheads. I mean, Powers' overhead is phenomenal, but I just think in a close matches, when you're swinging the ball like they are, that it's going to cost you in terms of confusion here and there, and that sometimes could be the difference.
Osses-König. They lead 3-1 first set.
I think sometimes too, Dave, other teams can feel the urgency when they are swinging the ball back and forth, and you know we're seeing some mistakes because of just a slight miscommunication because of the movement of the ball.
Right. I think it's not only I don't think is a communication issue. I just think it's a movement issue as well because as the ball's moving, the net team's moving, and they might not be in the exact place where they want to be every situation.
Well, you know what I see is there's just the confusion on who's going to hit the volley.
Right.
Love 15.
Because, like we said, lefty righty can play in the stagger, but if you're swinging the ball from the deuce to the ad side,
Stagger's always moving.
Exactly.
That's why you and I we do this together. We're on the same page.
It's nice to be on the same page, isn't it, Dave?
That's it. And even here, we're 4 games in, and going back to what you said earlier, the backhands of Humphreys, Osses-König are kind of dominating play right now.
And again, when the ball's moving and ball's not going like there, that I mean, there's just 2 big backhands right there from both of them. And that's why they like the movement, Dave, is because they're going to get looks off the deck.
Right.
$15.30. $30 all. 30-40.
Dave, what do you think about Nunez and Powers from the baseline tactics? Speed it up or slow it down?
Well, I think they're going to be looking to. They at least want to look to drive more balls. But to your point earlier, I think Humphreys and Osses-König
Game,
really get
Nunez,
on top of the net
Powers.
and do a good job of
Humphreys,
cutting those
Osses-König
balls
lead
off. But
3-2 first set.
anyway, train in real game scenarios with serve and volley, the world's first responsive play drill. Volley's new AI-powered feature tracks your position, the ball, and returns every serve for targeted practice. Try it today on the Volley app. What do you, in your free time, do you like going out and hitting some balls on the volley machine yourself to stay in shape and keep your game tuned up?
Volley machine is amazing, and that whole new serve and volley feature is AI at its best. It really is so cool. I mean, that's the number one shot to practice is the first volley.
All right, we're halfway through the first set here, and it looked like Humphreys, Osses-König were a little bit in control of this match so far, in the early goings. And it's interesting how we're back on serve at 2 serving 3 with Nunez Powers getting a chance now here to even it up in the first set.
And that's that overhead combination I was talking about, Dave. And that's why I like Nunez hitting more of the overheads, because of that combination that we just saw right there.
Love. Love. 40,
Big return by Osses-König.
Game, Nunez Powers. First set is tied 3-all. One more, yep.
I mean, I'm going to state the obvious, Dave, but I mean, after the last game, I feel like Nunez and Powers kind of found something there, but
Love 15.
nobody really has the momentum or is dictating or controlling the match. I mean, last game was the best game Nunez and Powers played.
That's a really good volley by Osses-König. This couple of games have started in going quicker, faster games. And I think that's, like we said earlier, that's going to favor Nunez and Powers. Pretty good volley there by Chris Humphreys. And again, I think as big of a drive as that was, you see the benefit and experience of Chris Humphreys getting right on top of the net and stuffing that volley right back at him.
And notice, too, I mean, with the volley that Humphreys just hit and the one that Osses-König hit before, neither one of them are moving when they're hitting the volley. It's just complete balance. You see how Osses-König closes the net when he even has any inclination it's going to be a drive. You see how tight he is there?
Pretty amazing point there. Great get by Chris Humphreys on a ball that looked like it could have been a winner.
I tell you what, even though Nunez missed that, that's the time to hit it.
Game, Humphreys, Osses-König, they lead 4-3, first set.
Yeah,
That's
Dave.
the one.
You know,
I
it seems like
Go
when
ahead.
a team feels like they're going to have some momentum, then the other team wins another quick game.
Right. And you said that last game where it doesn't really feel like anyone's really solidifying the momentum or taking it and running with it. It's kind of seesawing back and forth. And I was going to point out, like you saw the last point where we talked about how Nunez and even Osses-König, they like to force play, they like transition, they like moving in, and I think at all levels, even at the highest level here in the finals of Westchester Classic, you have to be able to decide, and make good decisions on what's forcing it too much and what's, when to lay off.
Love 15.
We're also seeing here a lot, regardless of which team it is, but to your point of everyone being able to volley so well and getting on top of the net,
Love 30.
the teams of players that are missing volleys, it's happening when they're off the net and the baseline team is creating space.
Love 40.
Tell you what, the returns from Humphreys and Osses-König are just huge. And as I say that,
40. $30-40.
one thing's for sure, Dave, these points are not long.
And like I said earlier, I think the longer points have been benefiting the team of Humphreys Osses-König. So they should be looking to play these more grind out points, waiting for their opportunities because they've created them and they're getting them. It's just a matter of how many times are they willing to do it.
Deuce.
It was a good look. I think Humphreys, that was a great shot, great opportunity.
And
Advantage
just
Nunez Powers.
when you think Osses-König and Humphreys are about to continue with some of the momentum they had from the previous game, there's 3 or 4 quick misses, and here we are. Nunez and Powers with an ad to go 4-all. You know, too, Dave, the fact that Osses-König can drive off both wings, both players, is going to lend itself to the drive to lob ratio being a bit different. They're just going to drive the balls that they're driving. They're because they can.
I think as this match goes on, it's going to be really important that when Nunez and Powers are on the baseline, that they really lob well because of the closing ability of Humphreys Osses-König. You see again how he's right on top of the net, and I think that's something that Nunez and Powers got to be aware of: is who's on top of the net, who's
Nunez
hitting the overall.
Powers. We're
They both
tied
do a really good
4-all,
job of
first set.
closing them. To your point, it's 4-all in the first set when it looked like Humphreys and König had a little bit of a momentum and we're going to take charge in this first set. But this is the second game, guy, that Nunez and Powers have been serving at love 40 or 15-40, and they've come back and won.
Yeah, I mean, if the match continues this way, it's just going to be who makes fewer mistakes. You know,
All
playing.
right, if the match
I mean,
continues this way, we're going to be here till tomorrow morning. No one's going to win the set.
Love 15.
see if Nunez and Powers dig in here. Go into lockdown mode, and it's a great lob.
Love 30.
Dave, both these teams, I mean, that was a great lob. Not taking anything away from that, but I still feel like you're right. I don't want to call it miscommunication, but
A little bit of uncertainty.
No definitive plan on who's hitting the overheads. Like there, you see that? I mean, they're both looking for the same ball. See, there, Osses-König is not, but yeah, they're just, for lack of a better word, just a little jumpy. You like that word, Dave?
I do. A little jumpy. I can see that. And I'll tell you what, there was nothing jumpy about that last shot that Nunez just hit. That little dink cross court. And if we go back to that last point, I think, or the last couple points, Nunez has been doing a really good job of lobbing down the line, pulling Humphreys all the way over cross court, which kind of allowed for that little cross court drop shot by Nunez. So that was well set up by Nunez, for points now. Good overhead there by Chris Humphreys.
40.
Yeah, it's a great look at, and he makes very good decisions on when to hit that.
I was going to say, he doesn't do it a lot, but when he does it, he finishes the point.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't see him miss that much. He chooses the right time to hit it. See if Nunez keeps lobbing down the line. There it is. Dave, he's...
Game Nunez Powers. They lead 5-4 first set.
What's been the difference in the last couple of games?
Well, you're right, and it's allowing him to dictate more the tempo, and more importantly, it's allowing him to do what he just did. He loves to move forward. He likes to be engaged in that energy of moving forward, and his hands are so good. He almost baits you to get involved in the hand-to-hand combat, but he's going to come out on the right side of that probably pretty much every time.
And one of the things that I like about watching him is, with a lot of the players now, and you kind of have to, but he makes really good decisions in transition.
Yeah, he sees the ball very, very well. I've said it before in the last couple of weeks when I've been calling their matches, but at the Nationals last year, he hit on a very big point, a lob volley between his legs. Do you remember that one?
I do.
I mean, it was with intent.
Right. It wasn't by accident.
No. And Dave, you've seen in the past game and a half that Nunez and Powers have not made any loose mistakes, and that's why I said that's why I feel like it'll come down to that. Just kind of cleaning it up a little bit.
Well, as I said earlier on, because that was the live stream match. That's the match they had on. I was watching last night when it was Nunez and Powers playing, and same thing in the first set. They were making some uncharacteristic mistakes, some loose errors, and then in the second and third set, it just became really hard to win points. And we see that pattern again there by Nunez with the lob down the line, and that little cross court drop shot. And here we are, 3 set points.
Yeah, I feel like, these last 2 games, Nunez has really just really controlled the tempo. And Powers is such a good partner. He's letting Nunez do what he does best.
Looks like when I'm coaching guy and I, have team practices, and this is a perfect example by Mark Powers of not getting involved just for the sake of getting involved.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Like he's letting Nunez take every ball that is Nunez's ball, whether it's 1, 2, 10, 50, or 100. But he's ready when the ball comes to him, and he can hurt you just as well. But he's just doing a really good job right now of being a good partner and letting Nunez do his thing because they're his shots.
40-30.
And again, I think going back to what we talked about earlier, you see the set plan they're going with of Nunez hitting a lot of these overheads.
Too, another thought, Dave, is because Powers and Nunez put so much spin on their overheads. There's the set.
Game Nunez Powers. They win the first set 6-4.
All right, Dave, great first set. We'll be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by Joho.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Hi, my name is Macy Elliott, and my tip of the week is on your roller. A lot of times when I see people hit rollers, they tend to go over the ball because they want to bring it down and create more spin. But when you do that, you're actually going to create a lot of pressure on your elbow. So a lot of times when people get tennis elbow, it's from that. Instead, I want you to go straight up on the ball and pretend like you're going to finish all the way up with your knuckles to your ear. This upward motion will create more spin and it will grab less of the ball than if you were to go over it. If you grab too much of the ball, you don't get as much spin and it's not quite as effective versus going straight up the back and finishing up by your ear. I'm Macy Elliott. Hope you enjoyed this tip of the week. I'll see you on the courts.
All right, Dave, welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're here at the Westchester Classic in Rye, New York, with the men's finals between Chris Humphreys, Felipe Osses-König, playing the reigning national champions Guillermo Nunez and Mark Powers. Great first set. I mean, Nunez and Powers took command and rolled with the momentum those last two games. And like you said, Dave, I think Powers did it's such a great job of letting Nunez dictate some of the tempo, and it obviously paid off 6-4.
Oh, absolutely. I thought Humphreys Osses-König definitely, had the advantage early on in that first set. They were in control of the match, and they had control of the match in their own hands. I think they let Nunez and Powers hang around, and then towards the second half of that set, I really thought that the momentum and the speed of play changed to obviously favoring Nunez and Powers. I just thought the second half of that set, Osses-König and Humphreys allowed the team of Nunez and Powers to really, I don't necessarily speed play up, but play faster, quicker. The points weren't as long and as methodical as they were in the beginning. Yeah, we have Chris Humphreys here starting out with the red shirt to the right of the screen at the net, starting out the second set. His partner in all white on the left is Felipe Osses-König, and their opponents in the new side of the court. The lefty hitting the ball right now is Guillermo Nunez, and his partner to the right of the screen on the top with the blue shirt is Mark Powers.
Hey, Dave, I have a question for you.
All right, I think I'm ready. I'm sitting down.
What color would you
15
describe Mark Powers' shorts? Are those like a Nantucket red? What do you call that?
Let me see. Let me get it. Yeah, I think it is sort of a maybe it is. Yeah, Nantucket Red. I like that call, guy.
I was just gonna say too. I do feel like Nunez and Powers should have the momentum going into this second set. Obviously down 30 love quickly. That sun is very tough in that corner where Nunez is.
And Humphreys is hitting really good overheads into the Nunez corner over there.
And as you said earlier, there were a couple games in the first set where
40-15.
Humphreys, Osses-König were up 40 love, 40-15, and Nunez and Powers came back and won them. Let's see what happens here.
Game, Humphreys, Osses-König, they lead 1-love, second set. Nunez Powers
That answers
won the
that.
first 6-4.
Bunch of mistakes there in that game from Guillermo Nunez.
It's just kind of a strange match. I just feel like, except for the last two games of the first set, I just feel like no one really has control of the momentum at all. Just back and forth.
You think are they causing it? Is each team causing it to
Love
for
15.
for no one to really take control? I think it's watching. I think it's some loose mistakes is what's causing no one to really gain the advantage and create separation so far in this match.
Yeah, and that's what we said a little earlier. Is from what we're seeing, it's just going to be I mean, it always is, right? But without a definitive plan from each side, and I'm not saying it in a negative way by any means, but it's just the way the match is going. It's going to come down to
15-all.
They're really good court coverage by Chris Humphreys. Osses-König was sliding up that side screen looking for a big forehand and decided to let it go. Humphreys came over to cover the middle for him. Really good overhead by Chris Humphreys sticking to that side screen. I think it came at a really good time as, again, we see Nunez really working that down-the-line lob, causing some confusion and a little bit of opportunity for himself. We see another big backhand here. This match definitely is. There's no shortage of big backhands going on here today.
that's for sure.
Not only am I going to hit it by them, but I'm also going to hit the nick for a winner.
Powers Nunez stay this way, Dave, or switch? Not gonna have to worry about it now.
I'm just thinking they probably could have stayed that way. It would have been a different look, and I think they're okay. You know, we've seen in the past where Nunez has played the backhand side, so it's nothing new to him.
30-40.
You know, too, Dave, as I think about this, and the more I watch Nunez and Powers, I mean, this is really kind of how they've always played together. Again, Powers did a great job the last two games of the first set, letting Nunez dictate a little bit more, but they both stay pretty involved at the net. And I think they thrive on whoever.
Game, Humphreys, Osses-König. They lead 2-love, second set.
Bit of forcing the issue there by Guillermo Nunez to give Humphreys Osses-König that 2-love lead here in the second set on the Westchester Classic.
And I think, too, Dave, the more backhands Humphreys and Osses-König get, obviously the more successful they're going to be. They did a great job of creating that offense these last two games.
15-love.
Seems like early on here in the second set, Nunez has been trying to force it a little bit.
Yeah, it's spurty play.
I think this is a pretty good timeout here by Nunez and Powers. As we know, there really are no timeouts in platform tennis, but, you know, just to settle down and have a quick conversation and try to get each other back on the same page.
30 love.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming at all after the way Nunez and Powers ended that first set. But as we both said, I mean, they're good at riding the ship.
$30-15.
Well, guys, especially because towards the end of that second set, the last 2 or 3 games in particular, you know, Humphreys, Osses-König were just having a hard time winning points because of the excellent play by Nunez and Powers. And then to see kind of early on all these mistakes in the second set, that's kind of a little bit surprising.
Yeah, especially after the last 2 games of the first set where they made basically 0 mistakes.
Right there, guy, a little bit of indecision. They both swung at that forehand, Humphreys and Osses-König, and as we've seen from the first set, those were the mistakes that kind of kept Nunez and Powers in this match to begin with.
Yeah, for sure. When you think Humphreys and Osses-König are going to continue with the momentum, it changes course. I think if Osses-König and Humphreys can win this game, they'll maintain it. But if Nunez and Powers come back from being down love 30, down 2 love in games, and Nunez and Powers, their identity is to play fast. I mean, that's just what they do. So notice there, Humphreys, Osses-König didn't even want to get involved in bad transition. That's great hands everywhere.
That was a really good exchange. Really fun to watch.
Did that cover everything, Dave? Great hands everywhere.
Great hands everywhere. And I think for everyone watching, that was just if they saw, just how calm everybody was. Nobody was jumping at the ball, reaching for the ball.
40-30.
Well, that's kind of the definition everyone talks about. What does the term fast hands mean? But I mean, it's actually the opposite, right? Fast hands is really just slow hands. I mean, it's being prepared, but in those quick exchanges, no one's reaching for the ball. No one's meeting energy with energy. It's just soft, quiet hands and quiet feet. That's his pattern. 2 or 3 to Humphreys, and then that goes back to what we just said. You see how balanced and quiet Nunez's hands were there, hitting the ball away from Humphreys.
Humphreys, Osses-König. They lead 3-love second set. Nunez Powers won the first 6-4.
We have a little bit of a turn of events here, Guy, in the second set of the Westchester Classic Finals. Humphreys Osses-König out to a 3-love lead. If you're Nunez Powers, do you do anything different?
You know what it is, Dave? I mean, it's really been the way this match has gone. I mean, the first set was back and forth, and it all came down to just who made fewer mistakes. And when we say mistakes, I mean, these are the ones that these teams usually don't make. Missed lobs long, missed lobs wide, some missed drives. And Humphreys and Osses-König have been very clean this set, and Nunez and Powers just
After this one, I should say.
just played a good game there, but the first two games of this set just mistakes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think early on, it's kind of like what happened in the first set. It's just Humphreys Osses-König are making very few mistakes, and when they are, as we see when there, it hasn't really hurt them. Where I think the mistakes Nunez and Powers have made have come at game points and when they were down in the game. So it'll be interesting to see and watch them at what point they look to or they clean those little mistakes up.
So Dave, in yesterday's match, in their semi, Nunez and Powers lost the first set pretty handily, but then they just got into the zone the next two sets. Is that what you saw yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say impossible but it was very difficult to win points against them because they cleaned up those, mistakes that were happening on big points, game points. And they kind of still were playing their game, but they did go a little bit more into lockdown mode. I think even watching it, Drew and Enrique did make a few more mistakes in the second and third sets than they had obviously in the first set. But I want to reiterate that a big part of that was just that Nunez and Powers just kind of clamped it down and it became really tough winning points against them. As we see there, the ability of Powers to end points with his overhead.
Yeah, that's by far the best one he's hit today. That's a great volley, how he redirected that with his forehand.
No! 40-30.
Yeah, Dave, I don't see the tempo of this match changing. It's going to stay like this. Agreed?
Yeah, I think for Nunez and Powers, they're going to continue to play their game and see what happens. And, I think it's got to be up to Humphreys and Osses-König to, just keep play the tempo that they want to play and just cut down on the mistakes. Son giving Nunez a little trouble there, along with the spin put on the ball by Humphreys.
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
And just when you thought they had a little momentum going their way.
And you throw in a
Team
let court.
Humphreys, Osses-König. They lead 4-love, second set.
Yeah, they've been on the wrong side of that all day, right?
Let
Hey,
court
where's
came
Mike?
late.
Yeah, where's Mike? Where's he keep all those balls up there in that chair?
He must have big pockets in that coat.
Love 15.
That's going to be one shot that we might have to talk about later on.
I don't think there's much to say. I don't think Humphreys had anything to say.
Do you think Humphreys is just in disbelief?
15 all.
I mean, that's the ultimate 4-love shot right there. Yeah, Humphreys. I don't even think Humphreys, Dave, thought about saying anything.
No, I think he's speechless. There's not a whole lot.
You know,
To say shocking would be an understatement.
I think he was following what all our mothers said to them. If you can't say anything nice,
30-15.
right?
That's it. Some things are just best left alone.
Yeah. You probably could have said, "What do you mean?"
What do you mean?
40-15.
And I think, Dave, on a serious note, I mean, it's, Powers and Nunez have just made a bunch of uncharacteristic mistakes. I mean, they don't necessarily have to change anything tactically. They just technically got to execute.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, to your point from earlier, there's not a whole lot different in what's going on in this match. It's who's making the mistake, the unforced error first.
And when you have a team up 4-love, maybe about to go up 5-love, I mean, it's, at this level, you don't lose a set love without just execution being some of the problem.
Deuce.
Good look by Humphreys.
Yeah,
Like
no,
so.
and I
Also, Dave liked where he was going with that down the line because the next ball is probably gonna go cross court, so it creates the movement. Good choice.
I got it.
That sun is tough over there for Nunez.
tell you what, throughout this match, we've seen a lot of great, incredible gets off the screens because, these guys are hitting really good, difficult spin overhead. There's been some really spectacular gets.
Yeah, no one's been fooled the entire match. And these guys are carving the ball up. You are right. You see Powers working on his overhead in the middle of the point there.
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
Right, another point here for Humphreys. Osses-König to go up 5-love in the second shot.
You saw Osses-König let that ball go right by him, Dave. That's because he's only looking at the ball that's coming at his chest,
Deuce.
especially when he sees him lining up to hit that ball with a ton of pace. He's only looking in one window to volley.
You see
Look for
Nunez
this.
sticking to that
Look for
pattern
this.
a lot on the line.
Yep. I think here, if Humphreys gets a short overhead, he's going to carve it up. He's only hit the one hill shot today, but this feels like a good time.
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König. Back, yeah. Game, Humphreys, Osses-König. They lead 5-love, second set. Nunez Powers won the first 6-4.
All right, Corian is the official wealth sponsor of the APTA's 2024-2025 season. Corian is a fee-only wealth manager who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at Corient.com. That's Corient.com. Now, we want to thank all our sponsors for allowing the APTA tour to be so successful and bringing live streaming to all the members and fans across the country and around the world.
No hurry.
Yeah, it's just a great network, and all the companies that do the live streaming are so good, such great people, and obviously fun to be with different commentators, especially this is our first call of the year, so great to be with you.
Oh, absolutely.
So what do you do? What do you do here, Dave? Up a set, down 5-love in the second.
No, after the next set, please. After this set.
So it's kind of interesting because we think Nunez and Powers can win 7
Mark,
straight
you're on this
games.
side. Yeah, Mark, you're on this side.
You know, that's kind of the question, because if Humphreys and Osses-König break serve here, yeah, they win the set 6-love, but they're starting out serving in the third set. And
15.
at the beginning of the match, Nunez Powers won the spin, and they elected to receive. So, do you play for the third set here, down 5-love? I don't know. That might be the play. But we have seen teams win 7 games in a row before. I think it's going to be a tough task, and maybe at some point starting over from scratch might be a better play in the long run. But I don't know. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I think at minimum that Powers and Nunez want to redirect some momentum back in their favor going into the third set, which seems likely when you're down 5-love. But even if they could play a couple close, good games here, even if they lose this set, they redirect some of the momentum. And we all know what happens when you win a set 6-love, right, Dave?
Sometimes confidence maybe gets a little too high.
Yeah.
$40-15.
And I do believe that overhead of Nunez, once he gets on a roll, will create some of those mistakes. It's just a lot of pressure.
Guy, I think on the flip side of your question, if you're Humphreys Osses-König, if you do
40-30.
lose this game, I don't know if you're that upset because, again, now you get a chance to serve for the set. They hold, they win the set, and now you have Nunez Power starting serving that the third set.
Deuce.
I just want to point something out there for everybody, all our viewers
Advantage,
watching.
Humphreys,
What's
Osses-König.
interesting there, you see Chris Humphreys is setting up in the middle of the court. He's looking for a backhand, and I think it's important to see that whether it's your forehand you want to hit, your backhand you want to hit. If you set up in the right place, you're going to get the shot. You're going to get the opportunity for the shot that you want to hit.
Dave, there's a great look at the modern game with all that transition from both sides, up, back, up, back.
Here we go again.
That is great hands by Mark Powers.
See really good
Osses-König.
coverage there by Guillermo Nunez, taking two balls actually behind Powers.
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König. Deuce.
Osses-König didn't want to have to dig anymore, did he, Dave?
Uh-huh.
Dave, do you think over the last 10 years the spin overheads have changed? Or do you think just more people are hitting them? I mean, compare some of these overheads to like a U-line. I mean, U-line was hitting balls. Brian U-line was hitting balls like that years ago.
He was. U-line and Evans, yeah, they put a lot of spin on the ball. Milbank, Chris Gambino were big spinners of the ball. I just think more people are doing it.
Advantage, Nunez Powers.
I think more people get to see it. I think when the likes of back in the day, the Chris Gambinos, the John Milbanks, the Evans and U-lines, when they first came out spinning the ball as much as they did, it was a little bit of a shock and a surprise. Where, I think now it might be because of the equipment, the ball, the paddles. I think there might even be more spin than there used to be. But I just think people know what it's going to do, and they know how to react to it, and they know how to play it.
But I also think the game has changed so much from, call it 15 years ago, where the majority of the players are now all have some type of tennis background. And, whereas before in the late 90s and whatnot, there was just a ton of great club players playing. Now you have all rackets directors and just people with ridiculous talent. So they learn the game quick and they understand it.
And I think,
Advantage, Nunez
in
Powers.
terms of the game changing for the men and the women, I think in years past you had a lot of really good tennis players that showed up on the platform tennis scene. And I don't think they
Nunez Powers, Humphreys,
really
Osses-König
understood
lead 5-1 second set.
100% that there was a difference. They're using their tennis skills to play platform tennis. They're not playing tennis on a platform tennis court.
Right.
15-all.
And there's And there's a lot of teams that I mean, you're talking about Guillermo Nunez, who, you know, started last season in the Challenger draw at Montclair and ended up winning the Nationals. I mean,
15-30.
Like my point is just as simple as, in tennis, you're looking to hit it to the open court. You can kind of hit it away from your opponents. There were a lot of really great tennis players that tried doing that in platform tennis, and you and I know that there's really not that much airspace over the net, especially for angles. So just a simple strategy of hitting it at a player or through a team, as opposed to trying to hit it.
Game Nunez Powers, Humphreys Osses-König lead 5-2, second set. Nunez Powers won the first 6-4.
All right, just like that, it's 5-2.
and that's what we were talking about. I mean, clearly momentum redirected towards Nunez Powers, and you could see them completely comfortable and battling here.
Right. I mean, just watching there on live stream on the screen, you're watching, Nunez is down 5-2, smiling, laughing. They're just having a conversation. Going back to when you asked me before, what did I think they were going to do? I'll be honest, it just looks like right now they're playing platform tennis, and basically, if they can win 7 games in a row, that'll be amazing. If they lose the set, they're going to come back and regroup. But I don't think they're doing anything different to try to win this set right now. I just think they're playing platform tennis.
Well, it's been the story of this match. They're just making far fewer mistakes than they were to get down 5-love. To be honest, even in those games, it wasn't like 40-love, Osses-König, Humphreys. I mean, they were back and forth.
They were just making mistakes at the wrong times.
And you can see Nunez hitting 4 or 5 overheads, and then Powers doing the same. That should tell you that their tactic is to go with the flow. Same thing here. Dave, think about it too. When Mark Powers was playing with John Hughes, pretty similar styles, though. I mean, Powers hit a ton of overheads. Hughes hit a ton of overheads. Both overheads, unbelievable. But they played like this as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's so I think especially for Mark Powers, the transition to playing with Guillermo Nunez has been pretty easy because they're kind of playing a game that he's used to playing, and it's obviously a very successful one. And
Yeah, it's hard to argue, right? Him and Hughes won the Nationals, and
I'll tell you what, to his credit, Nunez, he's been able to come in and play that role and play that style of play, and it's been pretty. It seems like it's working out well for Nunez and Powers.
think about it, Dave. Is there ever been a team that in their first year of playing together, even for like half a season, won the Nationals? I can't think of one.
I don't know. That is a good question. We may have to get the APTA historians involved in this.
Well, I know this for sure. You ready?
I'm ready.
It certainly wasn't you or I.
No. Right, so we only have a couple thousand more teams that it could have been.
15 all.
Hey, you would
Play there
have
by
to.
Humphreys all around, showing a little enthusiasm at the end of that point.
Tell you what,
I think
Nunez
if
power.
you look back
They
at
would-
that last point, guy,
yeah,
like Humphreys won that point. That and that's good because it was kind of fun and he played the point really well. The problem with that is it's bad because you and I know that just flat out winning points, you don't see that on a regular basis.
yeah, that's something you never used to see in platform tennis. Talking about going back years, but certainly at this level becoming
30, 15.
more of the game.
And it's also showing everyone out there how, to your point from earlier on, that Nunez and Powers are just tightening up and they're not making as many mistakes as they were previously.
Yeah, I mean they haven't changed one thing they're doing tactically. They just technically are making fewer.
30 all.
And I was going to say, Dave, if Nunez and Powers win this game, then it starts to get a little bit more real, meaning them coming back and having a chance in this set after being down 5-love.
I think the closer that Nunez and Powers can get, the harder it becomes for Humphreys Osses-König to win a game.
See if they stay, Humphreys and Osses-König on other sides of the court. I mean, they do have two big backhands in the middle. The better they lob, the more they're going to get a look at that.
I think in this setup, with Humphreys in the ad side, Osses-König in the do side, I would think that Powers is going to hit more overheads because I think it might be a little bit of a safer spot going to the side screen with Humphreys' forehand. He definitely has a big forehand, but I think his preferred go-to shot is the backhand side. So it'll be interesting to see here. He just went for a little bit too much
40-30.
there.
And the flip side of that, too, is, in that same setup with Osses-König playing the deuce side, you could say Nunez could hit more overheads because he's lefty and Osses-König hasn't seen it. Now, here we are again. Let's see what happens. And that lefty spin's a much different look on that side than it is from the ad side.
Right. It doesn't look like it's a big deal to Humphreys Osses-König because they're not switching sides. They've had a couple of chances where they could have gone back to their regular side, but hey, from their perspective, maybe they're showing them a different look as well.
Yeah, they're certainly in no hurry to switch.
Deuce.
Guy, there was a forced error, and it looked like basically a pretty simple shot, but I think Nunez felt like it could be double trouble if he hit that ball just soft and deep down the middle. And look, here we see them switching sides. I think that last point was just an example of Nunez trying to jam it into the forehand of Humphreys, as opposed to hitting it down the middle and letting either Humphreys or Osses-König hit a big backhand. We see another big backhand there by Humphreys.
And they are switching. Here we go. They like that look. I agree with it. Remember they were up 5-love and, obviously 5-2 now, but I think it's an excellent time to switch in the backcourt. Powers and Nunez had some rhythm. Osses-König, Humphreys weren't getting the looks they wanted. Great time to switch in the backcourt.
Advantage Nunez Powers.
Take it. I go. Hey, I got this. Watch it.
Game
All right, Guy.
Nunez Powers.
They want more. They want more.
It's getting real, Dave. It's getting real.
That's it. Up until now, it's just been fun and games. Now it's getting real.
I got it. I go. Got it. I go.
Early this season, I was teaching, and I was at a camp, and I was teaching with Nunez, and it was interesting talking to him, especially after what you said. If they win one more game, it's about to get real. And it was funny, Nunez's take where he was saying about how everybody goes out, they play, it's all fun, you hit fun shots, you play. He goes up until it gets serious. Then when it gets serious, it's a different game. I think we're starting to get serious.
It.
I think he's 3 out of 3, 4 out of 4 of ending points.
For sure. And not only that, I mean, in this match specifically, yes, but I have rarely seen him miss that shot because he doesn't hit it when he's too deep, and he doesn't hit it when he's not on his front foot.
Right. Well, he definitely makes good decisions with his overheads. And that was a pretty impressive shot there by Mark Powers. Fade away, down the line, forehand winner.
No, mama.
30-15.
All right, Humphreys Osses-König again, 2 points away from winning this second set, potentially forcing a third.
30-all.
By the way, Dave, I just got a text from
I got it.
the great Dan Hansen. Do you know what he said?
That potentially Humphreys is watching his tip on how to hit the slash overhead.
He said that
Right here.
Johan
40-30.
Durant and Jerry Albrights won the Nationals their first year playing together.
Right here. Come on.
Right. Well, there you have it.
And I concur with that. So I guess, hey, does that make Dan Hansen our APTA historian?
Listen, if he's already not, I will vote for him.
Me too.
On the
Well,
next
what?
PTA vote that comes out, can we add historian onto the elected official part?
He could be, since he plays about 100 more tournaments than anyone else every year.
I got it.
Just for the record, was that a cross court on the line forehand on set point by Nunez?
No heartbeat. No heartbeat at all.
He's still smiling. You gotta love him. He smiles all day long.
I go.
That's kind of like that.
That's good. Come on.
Oh,
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, you got it.
Yep. Yep. Help.
By Nunez, anticipating that ball into the side screen.
Deuce.
and you know what, Dave? I say that overhead right there is probably one of the best overheads in the game that Nunez just hit. That's the one I was talking about. It's not a cutter. It's a slider. You see how low that ball stays?
Yep.
It just, and that's why I like him hitting a bit more the overheads, because he can play to the deuce side, and then when you're always looking for it on the ad side, but I mean, it's hard to defend that shot.
It's almost like how the ball reacts in the wet weather on a dry court.
For sure, yeah. Just
Like that,
skids. I mean,
that analogy.
you know what, Dave? That's a good one. That's a good one.
Every once in a
If
while,
I
I
u-
find one.
If I use that somewhere down the road, do I have to give you credit? Probably, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
Yeah, Powers is saying that ball hit him.
All right, so I think we're here at the third or fourth set point. Humphreys, Osses-König.
I got it. I got it.
Osses-König touching the side wire.
Help me.
Look how far over
Yeah.
he is.
Deuce.
Out.
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
Yeah, this has got to be the fourth or fifth set point, right, Dave?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Deuce.
They're going to need a sixth.
Does it look like when Humphreys, Osses-König are getting the set points, do you think it looks like they're maybe just trying to win the point? Maybe
For sure, they're
getting
rushing.
slightly impatient?
So good.
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
Go. Here we go.
All right, we'll call this a 6-set point.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Help me. Yes!
Game,
All right, Guy. Well, we're
Humphreys,
going to do 3 here.
Osses-König. They win the second set, 6-3.
On the APTA YouTube channel presented by Joho.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Hey guys, I'm Dan Hansen. I teach paddle at the Sonjin Como, and I'm an engineer as well. Today I'm going to give a tip about the cut overhead. So a lot of people ask me about how to hit the cutter. So the first thing I'll talk about is the grip. So from continental, I like to move it over just a little bit, almost like an extreme continental grip. And then for the overhead, I let the ball drop, and I'm coming underneath the ball to get more spin on it. I'm Dan Hansen. I hope you enjoyed that tip of the week. See you on the court.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're here at the Westchester Classic in Rye, New York, with the men's final between Guillermo Nunez, Mark Powers, playing against Chris Humphreys and Felipe Osses-König. Great couple sets, right, Dave? And then, I mean, you had Humphreys, Osses-König up 5-love, and then Nunez Powers battled back to win 3 games. So we'll see if the momentum stays with him going into this third set.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We have Mark Powers on the right of your screen up at the net in the blue shirt, and his partner Guillermo Nunez now on the right side, the lefty hitting the overhead. And they're taking on Chris Humphreys over on the left top of your screen, deuce court,
15 low.
and his partner Osses-König over on the right side of the court. I thought it was a good set, the second set. Again, I just think that Nunez Powers made way too many unforced errors early on in that second set, and it allowed Humphreys and Osses-König to jump out, to your point, to a 5-love lead that, they started making a little bit of a comeback, but I think it was just too deep of a hole to dig themselves out of. To your point earlier on, I think it was a good momentum builder for Nunez and Powers because, to finish that set, they actually did win 3. They won 3 games to 1. Unfortunately, Humphreys and Osses-König had a 5-game head start.
And as we said too, I mean, tactically, from both sides of the court, I don't think anyone's made any adjustments. Not in a good or bad way. They've just it's the match from the start's always been about who's going to make fewer mistakes that are. They're just not forced mistakes. Is my point. There's some drives that are missed, and some lobs are. There just hasn't been a lot of forced errors.
Guy, as I'm watching this match and sitting here, I discovered this thing on my computer, Google. So I looked into it a little bit, and I have some more news for you on teams that have won the first year of playing together.
Okay.
And on the women's side, we have Lynn Burish and Macy Elliott. They won the Nationals the first season they played together. And we also have Florentina Hanish and Anya Zabori.
30-40.
Nice.
So the
Any
list
more
is
on the
growing.
any more on the men's side other than Durant and Albrights?
I'm gonna have to dig deeper into that.
By the way, you saw during our break, our commercial break, that I mean,
Game.
we were right on cue.
Osses-König, they lead 1-0, third set.
We had our new APTA historian, Dan Hansen, giving a tip on the slash overhead. Did you see that?
As a matter of fact, I did. I actually took out my pencil and took a few notes. Because my slash overhead looks like one that we saw in question earlier on in the second set.
Yeah, I remember that one clearly.
Listen, if you don't, I'll just send you a video tomorrow of me hitting one.
Can you also send me a video of Humphreys and what he looked like after that overhead?
Love 15.
Guy, the list is getting bigger. It's growing. And I thought about mentioning a team that won it the first year playing together, and it's going to come out funny when I tell you who it was. But after diving in a little deeper, the team of Broderick Palmer won the Nationals the first year playing together.
How about the team of Johan Durant and Mark Parsons?
There you go. Listen, I still don't see the team of Broderick Moore on that list.
Yeah, we didn't make that list.
They're on other lists.
Well, we ran into Kevins and Uline. I think it was the quarters of Nationals, and I just remember how I felt the next morning after that match from all the spin that those two put on the ball.
You realize that your next life you don't want to come back as a top.
Yeah. I will say this. I mean, I do think we have good questions. I mean, look at how much response we're getting here.
I'll tell you, I like the interactive crowd participation.
Dave, I will say too, though, a good tactical adjustment by Osses-König Humphreys is the fact that they are switching in the back. I mean, that is something they're doing intentionally. They did that at after Nunez and Power started to gain a little momentum in the second set. Let's see if Nunez brings that ball back to the ad side.
Love 30.
Just backhanded by Humphreys, but I think he set up the shot that he ultimately wanted to get. You know, he started lobbing closer to down the line, bringing that ball back more to the middle, which is going to be a danger spot for Nunez and Powers.
Fifteen 40.
Pretty good half volley there by Guillermo Nunez.
See if these guys intentionally switch back there or stay. You notice there too, Dave, Humphreys didn't even flinch like he was going to go forward because Osses-König, I mean, loves to fly around the whole court in that situation. Humphreys stays back and can cover any ball that gets through him on either side.
Play there. Good hands by Chris Humphreys.
Great hands.
And I think to your point about Osses-König moving around the court, I think, there have been times when I've watched their matches, broadcasted their matches, and, sometimes he gets in trouble with moving around too much or forcing it with movement a little bit too much. But, in this match, I've seen, he's done a really good job of balance of, going for balls, creating some speeding up play, creating opportunities. And then other times where he's sort of pushed the issue a little bit, but he's made really good decisions to let the ball go through. And to your point, letting Humphreys play it from back in the baseline and kind of restarting the point all over again.
Yeah, and that starts when you're blitzing. Your first responsibility has got to be to cover your line because obviously your partner's not behind you yet. So if you're getting beat behind you and you're not doing your job first, you're going to look to move to the middle from, blitzing in a straight line. You've got to make sure that ball is very low where it's got to be popped up and you have time.
Deuce.
I don't know about you guys, but that's what I see on that play. That was another example of, they took the ball from the left side of the court, they moved it to the right side of the court, and then you give
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
Humphreys the opportunity to hit a big backhand there. Guy, for this third set, even though it's early on, you definitely see a difference in the tempo of play. Who do you think this is going to start favoring? Because we're starting to see longer, more methodical points. Do you think this is favoring Humphreys, Osses-König, or Nunez Powers?
Well, again, I mean, we're going to repeat ourselves, but I think if Nunez and Powers just eliminate the just the missed drives and some of the shots that I just don't see them make those mistakes. I think it's their match to lose. But Humphreys and Osses-König, I mean, if they keep creating ways to get looks for their offense, I mean,
I think the pace of play right now, I think it does favor Humphreys, Osses-König. I think at some point Nunez and Powers are going to want to. It's sort of hard to dictate play when you're hitting overheads like that.
Humphreys, Osses-König.
I think Nunez and Powers are going to want to start driving more, speeding up play a little bit more. But to your point, have to do it while cutting down on the unforced errors.
and that is quite the exchange of drives and volleys, and that is 100% in Osses-König's wheelhouse. That's exactly what he likes.
And to what I was saying earlier on, you know what? He wound up letting that last ball go because he realized, I can only get myself in more trouble by trying to play this. Let me just let it go back to Humphreys and start the point all over from the baseline. I think a big part of that is, in today's game, Guy, do you feel like any of the teams really feel like it's a bigger advantage being at the net or the baseline for themselves? I think nowadays teams are as comfortable at the net as they are at the baseline, and vice versa.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. And I think it also depends on the flow of the match. You got to ask yourself as a team, are we winning easier by being at the net or on the baseline? And that changes throughout a match as well.
Help me!
Just back. Yep.
You're seeing, too, with
Advantage,
some of
Humphreys,
the,
Osses-König.
and this is both on the men's and ladies' side, you're seeing some of the returns are just so big that there's no intent at all to serve and come in behind it. It's just a bad matchup. I mean, the drive's better than the first volley. And that just goes back to saying that, those teams are not willing to not get into a point just because they're staying back.
Right. I think that's what people watching have to realize, that, they're not giving up the net. They're just
Advantage,
getting into the
Humphreys,
point.
Osses-König.
That's right.
And if you're not in the point, Guy, you can't win it.
That worked out for Osses-König. All coming 100 miles an hour right at you, and then it hits the net and puts on the brakes.
Game, Humphreys, Osses-König. They lead 2-love, third set.
I think this is a big game here for Nunez Powers. I don't think they want to give
15
Humphreys
love.
Osses-König a big lead again. And obviously it would make it 3-love, but I just don't think they want to give him that much separation.
No, not in the third set. I think at this point that Humphreys and Osses-König would maintain the momentum. Let's see if Humphreys and Osses-König switch here in the back.
Sorry, guys.
15 all.
Fortuitous bounce off the left cord there for Osses-König.
That's just nasty, isn't it, Dave?
15.
Yeah. And he almost got
Everybody.
it. Yeah, that was probably the most overheads in a row that we've seen Osses-König hit. Over to the power side of the court.
Dave, this pace is what favors Nunez and Powers. And I think that pace is dictated by Nunez quite a bit. And like you said earlier, I mean, Mark Powers does a good job of letting Nunez run with it when he's playing that way. Dave, I have a note from our APTA historian. You ready?
I'm ready. Is this a note on history or is it another tip?
It's a note on history.
Nunez, Powers,
Okay.
Humphreys, Osses-König lead 2-1 third set.
He says that Juan Araya and Mark Parsons also come to mind as a team who won the national title their first year playing together.
Now, are you getting the sense that Dan is lobbying to be the historian for the APTA?
I mean, I'm speechless, I think. I mean, without a doubt.
I mean, again, he's definitely, solidifying my vote.
I think I'll mail my ballot in today as well. You've convinced me. All right, Dave, we're over 2 hours in, and we're basically at neutral. We're basically at even here.
all. $15.30.
Hey, what do you think of that sidearm serve?
I think
30
it
all.
could be effective. I mean, if it was foolproof and guaranteed to work, I think everybody would be doing it. It definitely, again, if we're changing looks up, or it definitely changes the look up. I mean, when they first started doing it, people thought it stayed lower, but you know what? You're still seeing
40
a
and
lot of
30.
players with really big drives off of it. I mean, now they might not be hitting the ball as low as a regular traditional above the shoulder serve.
Game, Humphreys, Osses-König. They lead 3-1, third set.
Yeah, from a mentality standpoint too, Dave, that sidearm serve is more of I'm just going to put the ball in play and know that you're going to be able to probably drive it with the intent of my serve staying low with some topspin on it, which is a different look. But the idea isn't to hit an aggressive serve there. The whole idea is to try to eliminate the offense on the other side of someone being able to hit down on it. It's a kind of a different mindset too.
Love.
Oh, you see there, that's a good example. The cat always gets the mouse.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, those are the exchanges that Nunez wants for sure. I actually think an interesting topic that not a bad tactic to volley short when you're Nunez empowers to
Draw him in.
draw them in and then get engaged in those battles.
$40.15.
Well put together paddle point there.
$40.30.
I tell you what, Humphreys is deceptively fast in a really good way. You see how quickly he was on top of the net there.
Yeah, no, he has really good court skills and good anticipation, and
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
Oh,
Team Humphreys, Osses-König, they lead 4-1 third set.
All right, curious about what volley can do for your club? Here's a great offer. Get 30 club friends together and you'll all get a free 30-day trial. It's a perfect way to see how Volley's AI-powered trainers and tools can help everyone improve and track their progress. To get started, just scan the QR code at the tournament tent or visit getvolley.com/myclub. Don't miss out. Bring Volley to your club and elevate your game together. All right, and I don't know if there's a whole lot we can say here, but other than, just kind of a couple of mistakes by Nunez Powers and some good play by Humphreys and Osses-König has, kind of gotten us to where one of the teams has gained a little bit of an advantage. But, again, I think it's just we saw there at the end of the game. I don't know if Mark Powers has faulted the entire match, and I don't know if the wind is affecting the serves right now, but a little uncharacteristic, and that's kind of what this match has been sort of dictated with.
yeah, you're right. It really has been. It's again just theirs you just wouldn't expect, and it's really come down to something pretty simple. It's just which team's going to play more solid. That's it.
Pretty good drop shot there by Nunez himself.
Love 15.
Just amazing hands. Obviously, his positioning was huge, but let's see if Nunez and Powers can use that with a little momentum. And
Love 30.
Dave, this is. I just feel it when Nunez gets amped up like this that he has the potential to dictate the outcome of this match. I mean, he's that talented.
Love 40.
That was the right shot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just want to let you know we actually have a Guillermo Nunez on the court,
15-40.
and we have a Guillermo Mimo Alvarez Calderon watching at home.
That was all one name.
It was. It was.
30-40.
Okay. I'm very impressed how clearly you pronounced that.
And most of the time we just call him Mimo.
That's what I'm going to go with all the time.
Okay.
Deuce.
You can see too, Dave, you know, with Nunez there. I mean,
Help me!
Powers obviously a little upset with himself, but just a great partnership. You know, Nunez doesn't even blink, doesn't even. And same with Humphreys and Osses-König. I mean, it's a great get. Always way behind him.
Advantage, Humphreys, Osses-König.
Here. Okay. Here,
And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. That's, I don't want to call it a new play, but you see a lot of teams playing that way, almost in the eye. You saw Humphreys in the middle of the court and Osses-König in the middle of the court at the net. And if Osses-König volleyed that, Humphreys would have followed it in.
Deuce.
You'll see another example of that coming up here. More on the power side when he returns.
Advantage, Nunez, Powers.
I think we're going to see a big return here out of Mark Powers.
Yeah, you see Humphreys staying back. Smart.
And you saw in that time they changed it up a little bit. They had Osses-König more in the traditional position, not in the middle of the court.
Right.
Deuce.
Oh. Oh.
That was an incredible effort there by Osses-König. Hopefully he's
Yeah.
all right.
Better than that. Yeah. Advantage, Nunez, Powers.
Great lob by Powers down the line.
Game, Nunez, Powers. Humphreys, Osses-König lead 4-2, third set.
All right, Guy, there's one break back for Nunez and Powers, and let's see if they can capitalize on this momentum.
15
Yeah,
love.
and again, you know, the games that they're winning, the way they won that game, and that's unfortunate for Osses-König. That was, like you said, a great effort, and always tough to fall on a paddle court. But beyond that, Nunez and Powers, that's the speed they need to play at. it's kind of like, hey, if we're gonna lose, let's lose how we want to play.
Right.
$15-all.
Dave, too, even though the score's 4-2 Humphreys Osses-König, I feel like it's still a dead even match, don't you?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, everyone's, again, picking and choosing. The points are getting a lot tighter. But, I mean, Nunez Powers wins this game, and they're right back, they're right back into it. It's, to your point, it's almost dead even.
Doing walking over here.
15-30.
Great point by Humphreys there, just waiting until he got the ball he really wanted.
You got it. Come on.
15-40.
And you can see how Nunez is unfazed by any of that. He just likes to play fast. He doesn't take much time in between serves. Watch how quick he goes. Not a good or a bad thing. It's just his tempo. Good for him. Intentional switch. I think it's a good move. Big point, biggest point of the match. I think that's a great spot to lob. Try to create a little confusion between Nunez and Powers.
I think right there, that's the lob. That's the play Humphreys is looking for. Lob it down the line, hopefully get Powers to come over and hit it, and then it sets up his backhand.
Absolutely. Especially when they try to stuff one into the corner when there's no angle, he's going to slide over to his left and
That time.
And that's been the combination when we've seen Humphreys over there in the ad side of the court where, they try to put it into his corner. He block lobs it off his forehand, and then it gives him an opportunity to hit that drive. There it is again. I think Osses-König and Humphreys are doing a good job of blitzing, fake blitzing, just to kind of keep them honest at the net, to keep Nunez and Powers honest at the net, and not just allow them to push the ball to wherever they want to push it to.
We could tell so far that was the longest point of the match, but as we said 100 balls ago, was also the most important point of the match so far. That's about 10-0 on those net cords.
Hey, Guy, I think, what do you think? I think win or lose this match, I think one of the things, the takeaways maybe for Humphreys versus Koning's got to be that, when they've gotten game points, they've had break points.
Advantage, Humphreys,
They've
Osses-König.
followed it up with too many unforced errors. And I think that's just something, as the season goes on, we get closer to the Nationals. I think that's just something that, they're going to look at and really want to clean up.
I mean,
Like right
in
here,
this,
I like this point. It's a good point. They're getting off to a good, solid start. It's a long point.
and I tell you what, Dave, this could be easily a quarterfinal match at the Nationals, but easily a semifinal match at the Nationals.
Absolutely.
And that's why the seedings are so important leading up to Nationals. You don't want to have this match in the round of 32, right?
Yeah. Good move there by Humphreys. Good defense by Mark Powers.
Game Humphreys, Osses-König. They lead 5-2, third set.
Can we add that to the let cord issue?
Yes, we can. I mean, it really has been, one-sided, frustrating at the biggest points of the match. But, up until this point, Humphreys, Osses-König have just played just a bit more consistent. They really have.
No, playing really well. Like I said, one little thing that I'm sure if they go back and look at it, they would notice too that they're going to want to clean up is, when they do get a break point or a game point, maybe just, playing a little bit longer of a point, a little bit, maybe not rushing, going for a big shot, just to wait for another opportunity. But yeah, no, super solid. I mean, listen, for as many years they've played together, they've always been a solid team, fun team to watch. And let's see what happens here. Serving for the match.
First one to win against him.
Love 30. 15-30.
Really good overhead there by Chris Humphreys. See Mark Powers there getting the left cord, but the ball's still in play.
All.
But you know, Dave, too, I mean, Nunez and Powers have not wavered on the way they like to play here. So,
And I think, for the rest of the season, throughout the, remaining tournaments and the Nationals, and, they're looking at it where, to your point, listen, if we're going to win or lose, we're going to play the way we want to. And worst case scenario or best case scenarios, we're just going to keep getting better and improving on the way we play. So, we're not going to get better on the way we play by trying to go to a different strategy at this stage of the game.
well, and who can blame them? I mean, they are the national champions. And again, I think today, so far, I mean, match isn't over yet. 2 points from there potentially, but it's just it's not tactical. It's technical.
And I think even going back to the strategy, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And until they're not the national champions anymore, that's why fix it?
Yeah, they're both, Powers and Nunez are both such good shot makers that, and again, it depends on who you're playing. Obviously, you can't play everyone the same way, but they do have this style of play where they like to share in the overhead responsibilities, even in a lefty-righty combination. And, I mean, it probably can make them more efficient because they both swing big at overheads. One person's hitting it all day. It's tiresome to put spin and cut on every single ball. That's why you see them slowing it down here.
I was going to say, and it's even interesting that they're 2 points away from losing the match, and they're just getting the ball in play, getting the ball in play, getting the ball in play. It's almost like they want Humphreys and Osses-König there. They're baiting them into speeding up and forcing shots.
Yeah, that's going back to our conversation we had in the second set. That's another interesting tactic that could be cool to see Nunez and Powers use, is baiting them to come forward and drive the ball where they could stuff them a little bit.
That's a beautiful shot. I mean, that's good deception, good patience. Well, I mean, who sort of invented that game was probably Johan Durant, where he moved the ball around. He hit the ball harder than normal sometimes because he wanted to get you to drive the ball at him. He wanted to volley. He knew where he was covering the court. So it's definitely been out there. And there we go, guy.
Game, set, match. Humphreys, Osses-König. 4-6, 6-3, 6-2.
Tell you what, Dave, that's a strong statement by Humphreys and Osses-König. I mean, it's a very, very big win for them. Good match. I think that we're going to get together here for an on-court interview with our Westchester Classic men's champions, Chris Humphreys and Felipe Osses-König.
They played super solid, really good match. And, again, when things were maybe not going their way, we talked about they made that switch in the second set where you had Humphreys going over to the edge side of the court and you had Osses-König going to the deuce side of the court. And, they kept going. They kind of kept going back to it when they needed it.
I mean, So we're about to get our on-court interview.
I'm here with the champions. I want to start though by thanking our national sponsors, our local sponsors, Westchester Country Club, all the volunteers from the APTA and Westchester Country Club. It's been an incredible event and we wouldn't be possible without all the support we've had here. Segueing into our champions right here. What a match. How you guys feeling?
We're pretty happy right now. Great weekend to paddle. First, I want to also thank DJ and Westchester Country Club for putting on a great tournament, as well as the APTA. We haven't played a whole lot of paddle tournaments so far this season, and we were just really happy to get back here at Westchester and get back on the tour again.
It's amazing to see you guys have the success here. Chris's first tournament back, and to, take down the national champions has got to be a great feeling. But how's the body feeling? What a fall!
Oh yeah, that one hurt. I'll feel it tomorrow. But no, I mean, it was a great weekend. Very physical matches all around. The body definitely, paddle court takes a toll on the body. So just trying to get back into it, but the adrenaline got us going through that. So it was great.
You had a takedown, yesterday in the semis, 3-set victory of Jose, who's currently ranked #1, and then to come back today and take down our last year's national champions has got to be a great feeling. It was amazing to watch. Last question here. Do you feel like Chris's hat gave you guys a competitive advantage? Was it disguising the ball? Is that something you guys strategized on?
Always. The bright colors are needed on the court.
Yeah.
It's intentional. It's an intentional
I
look
love
for
it.
sure.
Well, we look forward to seeing that hat at our next event. Thank you to everybody.
Thanks, DJ.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Here.
Appreciate it, DJ.
Congratulations.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you guys.
Thank you, man.
All right, Dave. Well, great calling that match with you. I feel like
Yeah, no, that was a good match, Guy. Congratulations to Chris and Felipe. Outstanding play.
And, I would say too, Dave. I mean, Nunez and Powers. Tactically, I think they played exactly how they wanted to. Technically, I mean, they're just both such good players. They'll clean that up. But going back to, and I even think I heard Chris Humphreys say this. And again, you heard this is their first tournament together this season. And again, teams just haven't got a lot of looks at them. I mean, they haven't played together since last year, so that is an advantage.
Yep. No, I agree with you, Guy, and it was it was a really good, fun match. Just shows everyone out there the quality of play that just keeps getting better and better. And that was a blast to join you here in the booth for the finals of the Westchester Classic.
I agree, and that's a wrap of the men's finals and the 2024 Westchester Classic. The tour takes a break next weekend for Thanksgiving, but then we'll be back the following week with coverage of the 10th stop on the APTA Tour, the Long Island and Dwayne Hayden Invitationals on December 7th and 8th in Long Island, New York. Dave, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll see you then.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone out there listening, and we'll see you soon.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Hi, I'm Spencer Caravaggio, and my paddle tip is about footwork. Typically, we as paddle players tend to stand with our feet totally flat on the ground. As somebody who can get really frustrated by missing their drive, typically it's because your feet are flat and then all of a sudden you want to spring into action. So in between balls, make sure that you keep those feet going. Not only will it help you be able to really be on your toes and get ready for your drive, but it'll also help you get to some screens a little bit better. A thing that we see a lot is, people tend to move what they think is the wrong way on a screen and then they give up. But if your feet are still going, even if you move the wrong way, you can really get your body moving into that ball no matter what and be able to survive and make it through another shot. So if you can keep your feet moving, you're gonna most of the time be in really good shape.